Hi, this is PRA from Talks and Lighting in very good afternoon. So today we shall be continuing the topic on decision making analysis. And today I shall be talking about the different techniques which is adopted by the managers to arrive at decisions. So forgive me for the last video, there was issue with the mirroring. So I guess this should be fine. All right. Okay. So first criterion is called as the optimistic criterion. Optimistic criterion. Okay. Optimistic criterion. So under optimistic criterion, you have two techniques. You have two techniques. The first technique is called as Maximax, and the second technique is called as Minimin. So these are the two techniques which is available to the manager under optimistic criterion. So what is Maximax? Maximax means maximum of the maximum. Okay, maximum of the maximum. And what is minimal? Minimal means minimum of the minimum. You get the point. Okay. So whichever is the least, in that particular selection I will choose the least value, and that would be my best strategy. That is minimum. If you see maximax, I will choose the highest in each row for all the strategies, and then I will choose the highest value which would be my best strategy. Okay. So this will be clear if I put a problem. So we will take a small example, and I'll show you how exactly the maximax and the minimum criterion works. So let's take an example. So I'll do it right here. So any random values, you can take any values, need not have to see any textbook. Any random values you can take and you can solve any problem. Okay. So let me say 4 7 8 9 6 9 10 12 4 6 3 1 and 1 8 9 4. Okay, right? And then these are called as the strategies S1, S2, S3 and S4. So first under this first technique, Maximax, you will always see row wise. You will always go row wise. See, some few things you need to understand. First thing is, always for the Maximax and Minimin, go row wise. This is the first thing which you have to keep it in mind. Second thing is, you need to, in the Maximax criterion, you need to select the highest value. Okay. And then in that particular selection, you need to again select the highest value. Is that clear? Okay. So we will apply this particular procedure here. Okay. In this particular problem. So I will show you. So this is where I will be putting my selection. So in the first strategy, you see which is the highest value. You see which is the highest value. The highest value is 9. Okay, 9. You see which is the highest value here. The highest value is 12. Do the same thing for all the rows. So here it is 6. Here again it is 9. All right. Now, another important point to be noted here. Whenever you are taking the decision making analysis and solving problems, always go from the reverse. That is max. You put an arrow mark like this. You put an arrow mark like this. You have to work from back. So first, what is there here? Maximum. So I have chosen the maximum value in each row. So this is done. What is the next one? Again, maximum. So in this selection, you will be selecting the highest value. So 9, 12, 6, 9. So which is the highest value? 12. This is my highest value. So again, I have chosen the maximum value. All right. Now what you need to do? Now what you need to do? You see which is the corresponding strategy which is there for this highest value. So when you come this side, you see which is the higher, you see which is the strategy which is corresponding yes to. So what should be your answer? You have to say that according to Maximax, according to Maximax, according to Maximax, yes to, yes to is the best strategy. S2 is the best strategy. Is that clear? Right? So this is how the problem works under the Maximax criterion. Is that clear? Okay. We will proceed further. This is about Maximax. Then we will see something called as Minimin. Minimin. This is the second technique under the decision making analysis. So we will see the second technique that is called as Minimin. Same concept. Only thing is you will be selecting the minimum values. Okay. Okay. Let us see this. So again, you're going to go row wise. And in minimum, you're not going to select the highest value, you are going to select the least value. That is the only difference. You're going to select the least value. And again, since it is minimum, again in that selection, you are going to select the least value or the lowest value. Is that clear? All right. Okay. Now let me erase this. This is the Maximax criterion. So let me erase this. All right. So now what you do in this minimum, you will select the least value. So again go row wise. So in the first row, you see which is the least value 4. I write it down here. In the second row, you see which is the least value 6. In the third row, you see which is the least value 1. In the fourth row, you see which is the least value 1. All right. So again, you can put an arrow mark like this. So I have considered the minimum value. Next, further, again you need to select the minimum value. So in this selection, you will again reselect the least value. Now see here in this particular problem, you have 1, 1, which means to say there is a tie in the least value. So you have two values which is very similar, which is considered to be as the least value in this matrix. All right. So you see which is the corresponding strategy. You see which is the corresponding strategy for the least value. So we have 1, 1, it's the least value, and we have got a type. So you go and see which is the corresponding strategy. So we have two strategies that is called as the S3 and S4. So you have two strategies, you have two options, which is going to give me the same result. So what you need to do, again you need to write the conclusion. You have to say that according to Minimin, S3, S4, two strategies. S3 and S4 are the best strategies. So the manager has two strategies which is going to give me the same result, which is going to give the same result. So this is about the optimistic criterion or the two techniques that is called as the Maximax and Minimin. Maximax and Minimin. Is that clear? Optimistic criterion, or it's also called as criterion of optimism. Is that clear? Okay. Proceeding further. Next concept, you have exactly the opposite of optimistic, that is called as the pessimistic criterion. Pessimistic criterion. So, what are the things which is coming there in pessimistic criterion? Let us see that now. Okay. So I hope that you have understood this particular problem, right? I'll keep the problem as it is so that it'll be very easy for you. One problem I have just taken, and I will be explaining all the concepts. So I need not have to take n number of problems. One problem is enough. You can get the full topic covered. Is that clear? Okay. So we will see pessimistic criterion and what are the list of techniques which is there in that. All right. Okay. So we will see pessimistic criterion. In pessimistic criterion, we have again two techniques. The first technique, is called as minimax, and the second technique is called as maximin. Okay, second technique is called as Maximin. Again, the most important thing I said in decision making, please put an arrow mark backside because we are working from back. So put an arrow mark like this. So first you're going to see the maximum, and then in that particular choice, you're going to select the minimum value. So how do I write this? Minimax means maximum of the minimum. That is how it is. Maximum of the minimum. So first you're going to select the maximum, and then you're going to select the minimum. Okay. Then you have maximin. Maximin. So this is called as minimum of the maximum. Is that clear? Minimum of the maximum. So this is how the procedure goes. First you consider the minimum, then you consider the maximum, and minimax is first you consider the maximum, and then in that you are going to select the minimum. Is that clear? All right. So we will take the same problem and we will see how this goes. Again, the concept is similar. Go row wise, okay, and then here in the minimax, first you will be selecting the maximum and then you will be selecting the minimum. Okay, so let's see how the uh, technique works. So I'll drop this. All right. Again, strategies, four strategies. Okay, so S1, S2, S3, S4. All right. Again, these values change. So what I do is first I go row wise. I will see the maximum value. So in the first row, which is the maximum 9. In the second row, which is the maximum 12. In the third row, which is the maximum 6. In the fourth row, which is the maximum 9. So I am done with maximum. Next, what I do, I should see the minimum value among the selected values. So which is the minimum value among the selected values? 6. This is the minimum value. So minimax. This is how the technique works. And then what you need to do, just go to the corresponding strategy, and that is S3. So S3 is the best strategy according to minimax criteria. So you have to put according to Minimax Criterion. Okay, S3 is the best strategy. Is that clear? So according to Minimax Criterion, S3 is the best strategy. Is that clear? Okay, right. I hope till here the technique is clear. Okay. Now the next technique is called as Maximin. So how does this work? Very simple. Again, go row wise. So first you will see the minimum value, and then in that particular selection you will be selecting the maximum value. Okay, so let us see how that particular technique works. So I will erase this because the values change. Okay, S3 and S4. Okay, so first minimum value, go row wise. So this is the first row. What is the minimum value? Minimum value is 4. So put it here. What is the minimum value? 6. Put it here. What is the least value? 1. What is the least value? 1. Is that clear? So minimum is done. I am done with minimum. All right. Next, in that selection, you need to see what is the maximum value. So in this, which is the maximum value? 6. 6 is the maximum value. Now you see which is the particular strategy which is corresponding to that. Yes, 2. So according to Maximin Criterion, yes, 2 is the best strategy. Yes, 2 is the best strategy. So this is how the technique works. This is how the technique works. For this pessimistic criterion, it can also be called as another, there's another term for this pessimistic criterion. It's also called as Waltz criterion. So in case they ask you in the examination, like according to the Waltz criterion, can you tell which is the best strategy which is to be followed by a manager to arrive at a decision, then it simply means that it's pessimistic criteria, and you need to adopt these two techniques to get to know which is the best strategy which the manager has to adopt to come or arrive at a decision. Is that clear? So I hope the optimistic and pessimistic criterion is clear. So I'll go a little more further and I'll teach you something called as the Laplace criterion. Laplace criterion. Okay, we will see Laplace criterion. Okay, all right. So this is done. So this is done. Okay, all right. So I'm going to teach you the third criterion. Okay, that is called as the Laplace criterion. Is that clear? This has other names also. Laplace is basically called as criterion of rationalism, okay, or it's also called as rational, rationalistic criterion, okay, or it means to say what Laplace is going to consider or take into consideration equality. So that is why it is also called as equality criterion. Or this particular technique also has another name that is called as Bayes criterion. So this comes under the probability thing, wherein all the people should be given equal opportunity to for the selection. Is that clear? So I'll be teaching probability later on. As of now, you can just remember that this particular technique has these many names. Okay, so if they ask you according to Bayes criterion means, it simply means that the Laplace criterion has to be adopted. So this is the most common term, and it is known by other names also. I will solve the same problem using the Laplace criterion. Very simple. What you need to do is, again you need to go row wise. That's the first thing. So the concept here is go row wise. Okay, go row wise. Second thing is take the average. Take the average. Okay, or it's also called as the mean. Okay, take the average or mean, and then in that particular average or mean, in that selection, okay, sorry, in that you select the highest value. Is that clear? Okay, so I'll teach you how it has to be done. Go row wise, take the average or mean, and then select the highest value. Is that clear? Okay. Now go row wise. 4789. 4789. 4789. Sorry. 4789. Take the average. So it will be 4 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4. That is how you need to take the average. All right. So do the same thing. Do the same thing for all the rows. So it will be 6 plus 9 plus 10 plus 12 divided by 4. Okay. And here it is 4 plus 6 plus 3 plus 1 divided by 4. All right. And here it will be 1 plus 8 plus 7 plus 4 divided by 4. So in case if you have 5 terms, again you need to add that next term and divide it by 5. So that is how the average works. So now what you need to do is, you calculate it. You do the calculation. You do the calculation and give me the values. So the first one is 7. So that is 28 by 4. So that is 7. All right. The next one is 9.25. 9.25. All right. And the third one is 6, 13, 14 by 4. 3.5. So I'll write it a bit more big so you people can know. Okay, 7. Right. And here it will be 16, 20, 20 by 4 is 5. Is that clear? Is that clear? So 7, 9.25, 3.5, and 5. I'm just going to take the total divided by 4, and that is how this works. All right. Okay. Now I go row wise, I take the average. Done. Last step among this selection, you see the highest value. So which is the highest value? 9.25. 9.25. So go to the corresponding strategy. S3. All right. So you need to write according to Laplace criterion. Okay, S3 is the best strategy. S3 is the best strategy. So this is Laplace criterion. So in Laplace criterion, you just take the average of all the rows and you select the highest average value, and the corresponding strategy will be the best strategy which the manager has to select if it is under Laplace criterion. Is that clear? Okay. So moving ahead further, after Laplace criterion, you have Hurwitz criterion. Hurwitz criterion. Is that clear? That is the fourth criterion. So let us see that. Let us see that. Let us see the fourth criterion, that is called as the Hurwitz criterion. Fourth criterion. This particular criterion is also called as criterion of realism or realistic criterion. Is also called as realistic criterion. While Laplace considers everything equal, no partiality, Hurwitz criterion is basically realistic criterion. If you want to, if I want to give you an example, it's very simple. Maybe over past experiences, uh, your teacher would come inside the class, and what happens is if the class has to remain quiet, so she picks out all the notorious students and she sends them out. So automatically, when the notorious students go out, the classes would be silent and people would focus. So that is what is Hurwitz or realistic criterion. You act according to your senses. All right. So that is what is realistic criterion. This particular criterion is based on the formula which considers the alpha value. Okay, alpha is basically level of significance. So alpha value is also called as the level of significance. Okay, level of significance or the significance value. Okay, and this ranges between 0 to 1. This ranges between 0 to 1. All right, so it can be any value. It can be any value. All right. Now, there is a formula for Hurwitz criterion. What does the formula say? The formula is Hurwitz. H is equal to alpha into maximum value, alpha into maximum value, okay, plus open the brackets 1 minus alpha into minimum value. So this is the formula. So h is equal to alpha into maximum value plus 1 minus alpha into minimum value. This is the formula for Hurwitz criterion. One more thing which I want to let you know is, in case in your examination, if the alpha value is not given, if the alpha value is not given, you need to consider alpha value as 0.5. So there is a reason why, because I want to act without any bias. So if alpha is 0.5, 1 minus alpha also will be 0.5. This value should be taken only when the alpha value is not given in the question. In case they have given the alpha value in the question, please consider that particular alpha value only. So in case if they have given the alpha value as 0.7 as the alpha value, suppose, okay, so 1 minus alpha would be 0.3. This should sum to 1. Is that clear? Okay. So with that, we proceed further and see how the procedure works. So this is the formula: alpha into maximum value plus 1 minus alpha into minimum value. All right. So again, do the same concept for all the rows. So let me say that the alpha value is not given. So I consider alpha as 0.5 for this problem. Okay. Now I will go to the first. I will go to the first row. So here H1. So that is for the first row is equal to alpha 0.5 into maximum value. You see which is the maximum value 9. All right. Plus open the brackets 1 minus alpha, that is 0.5 into which is the minimum value in this, which is the minimum value 4. Okay, right, close the brackets. So that will be half of 9 and half of 4. Half of 9 is 4 and a half. Half of 4 is 2. So 4 and a half plus 2 is 6 and a half, 6.5. Do the same procedure for all the rows. Here H2, that is equal to alpha 0.5 into what is the maximum value 12 plus 0.5 into what is the minimum value 6. Close the brackets. Same thing for H3. For H3, what is H3? 0.5 into what is the highest value 6 plus 0.5 into what is the least 1. Then H4, that will be 0.5 into what is the highest? Highest is 9, sorry, plus 0.5 into the least value is 1. All right. So take the values. So half of 12, 6, half of 6 is 3. So 3 plus 6 is 9. Half of 6 is 3, half of 1 is zero point 0.5, so that will be 3.5. Okay, half of 9 is 4.5, 4.5 plus half of 1 is zero point 0.5, so that will be 5.0. All right, now what you need to do, now what you need to do in this, in this 6.5, 9.0, 3.5 and 4, 5.0, you need to select the highest value. So in this, which is the highest value? 9.0. 9.0 is the highest value, and you need to see which is the corresponding strategy which is falling for that highest value. So 9.0 comes to 9.0 comes to S2. All right. So according to the Hurwitz criterion, S2 is the best strategy. You need to write down. According to Hurwitz criterion, S2 is the best strategy. That's all. That's all. All you need to do is remember the formula: alpha into maximum value plus 1 minus alpha into minimum value, and based on the alpha value you please work out the values row wise, and whichever is the highest value, see the corresponding strategy. That corresponding strategy is the best strategy under Hurwitz criterion, or it's also called as realistic criterion. Is that clear? Moving ahead further, you have another criterion that is called as Minimax regret criterion. Okay, so we will see that criterion also. So same problem, I am not changing the problem. In one problem you can finish all the concepts. So That is the fifth concept. That is the fifth concept. Okay, so that is the fifth concept, that is called as mini max regret. Okay, or it's also called as loss. Regret means loss. Okay, it's also called as loss, or it's also called as salvage. Salvage criterion. Okay, if you see in the examination, uh, if you see in the examination, most of the times this particular criterion is repeatedly being asked in the uh, examination. Okay, so I will tell you how you can solve this particular problem, that is under minimax regret. For all the cases, ensure that you put an arrow mark like this. We are working from backward. Minimax regret, or it's also called as loss, or it's also called as salvage criterion. Is that clear? Okay, see here, the most important thing here to note is, always in the minimax regret criterion, first thing is the loss. The loss has to be calculated column wise. The loss has to be calculated column wise, okay, and not row wise. It has to be taken column wise. You should not take it row wise. You should not take it row wise. So very simple. So how, what the best example if I have to say is, there are three people XYZ. All the three people have studied in the same institution. Okay, same course, same degree. All right, eventually what happens is, one gets 50,000, another gets 1 lakh, another one gets 2 lakhs. Okay, so what's going to happen here? Definitely, people would ask, all the three people have studied in the same institution, same course, but how is that there is a difference? There is this much of difference of 50,000 and 1 lakh. So it's almost 1.5 lakhs difference between the three people. So loss is basically subtraction. You need to subtract how much I am at loss. So that is why you need to go column wise. Is that clear? All right. So let us go column wise and make the matrix. So only for this particular technique, you need to go column wise. You see the first column. In the first column, you see which is the highest value. Which is the highest value? 6. Okay, 6 is the highest value in the first column. So take this 6 and subtract all the remaining elements from the highest value. Very, very important. So it will be 6 minus 4, 6 minus 6, 6 minus 4, and 6 minus 1. This is how you have to do it. Then in the second column, you see which is the highest, 9. Okay, so take that value and subtract all the remaining elements. So it will be 9 minus 7, 9 minus 9, 9 minus 6, 9 minus 8. All right, next you see in the third column which is the highest, 10. Okay, so 10 minus 8, 10 minus 10, 10 minus 3, and 10 minus 9. All right, okay, go to the next column. Go to the next column, highest is 12. So 12 minus 9, 12 minus 12, 12 minus 1, and 12 minus 4. Is that clear? Okay, now you will get one matrix. Now you will get one matrix. I will write the matrix above, so that I hope that you have written this. So I will write it above. Okay. So this I will continue here. Okay. All right. So this I will continue here. So after this, after this. Okay. All right. So 6 minus 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. 6 minus 6 is 0. 6 minus 4 is 2. 6 minus 1 is 5. 9 minus 7 is 2. 9 minus 9 is 0. 9 minus 6 is 3. 9 minus 8 is 1. 10 minus 8 is 2, 10 minus 10 is 0, 10 minus 3 is 7, 10 minus 9 is 1. And the last column, 12 minus 9 is 3, 12 minus 12 is 0, 12 minus 1 is 11, 12 minus 4 is 8. Is that clear? Okay. All right. Now, you see this mini-max regret. Regret means loss, I said. Loss means a subtraction. I have done the subtraction and I have got this matrix. This matrix is the resultant matrix. Remember, this particular matrix is called as the resultant matrix. Is that clear? So further calculation, you should see this matrix. You should not see this, nothing. Just take this matrix and then you have to do the calculation. So regret loss is done. So again go backwards. What is the next one? The next one, this is very similar to minimax which we have solved it in this class. So first thing, minimax. So again this particular condition, go row wise now. Only for loss go in column. Okay. So minimax. So for after regret you have something called as maximum. So for maximum you will see row wise and find out which is the maximum value. Okay. Now you see here. I will solve it. So I hope you can see that. All right. So in the first row, in the first row, you see which is the maximum value. The maximum value here is 3. In the second row, you see which is the maximum. All are zeros, so put it as 0. Okay. Then in the third row, you see which is the maximum value. The maximum value is 11. Okay. Next, in the fourth row, you see which is the maximum value. It is 8. Is that clear? So maximum also done row wise. Now next, minimum. Again, in that particular selection, you need to see which is the least value. Now if you see this in this particular selection, the least value is 0. Is 0. Is that clear? Okay. So if you see here which is the corresponding strategy, if you see here which is the corresponding strategy, the corresponding strategy is S2. So you need to write the answer very simple. According to minimax regret, S2 is the S2 is the best strategy. S2 is the best strategy. Is that clear? Okay. There's another trick to find out which is the best strategy under the minimax regret criterion. So what you need to do is, this is the problem which I have taken. In this particular problem, you see where is the highest value. You see where is the highest value in the matrix. So this is the matrix. So 4, 7, 8, 9, 6, 9, 10, 12, 4, 6, 3, 1, 1, 8, 9, 4. In this particular matrix, the highest is 12. All right. So this is the highest value in the matrix. You see correspondingly which strategy is there here. S2. So that is what, after doing all this calculation, I got it as S2 as the best strategy. So in case if you are very less on time and you really want to get your marks, so in the matrix you see which is the highest value, go to that corresponding strategy, and that should be the best strategy according to Minimax regret criterion or opportunity loss criterion, or it's also called as salvage criterion. Is that clear? So with that, I guess I have explained all the techniques under decision making analysis. I hope that you have understood the video. So in the next class, I will be teaching you more topics on operation research. So until then, uh, keep practicing and enjoy this particular subject. Thank you so much.